Commander Jake Harrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, staring at the massive ships that had just appeared on his screens. 3 days ago, his exploration vessel had been alone in the empty space between star systems. Now, 50 alien ships surrounded them like giants looking down at a child. The alien ships were beautiful in a way that hurt to look at. They seemed to be made of crystal and light, their hulls shifting colors like oil on water. Each ship was at least 10 times larger than the Liberty, and they moved through space without any visible engines or exhaust. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," said Lieutenant Amy Walsh from her communications station. Her voice shook slightly as she spoke. "The signal is... it's not like anything we've ever seen." "They're somehow translating directly into English," Jake nodded slowly. 3 months ago, Earth's deep space sensors had detected these ships approaching the solar system. The government had sent the Liberty to make first contact, hoping to establish peaceful relations. Now facing these massive vessels, Jake realized how small and primitive his ship must seem. "Put it through," he ordered. The main screen filled with the image of an alien being that took Jake's breath away. The creature was tall and thin, with skin that seemed to glow from within. It had 4 arms instead of 2, and its face was elegant in a way that made Jake feel clumsy and rough. When it spoke, its voice was like music. "Greetings, inhabitants of the 3rd planet," the alien said. "I am High Coordinator Vexthul of the Galactic Trade Union. We come in peace to welcome your species into the greater community of intelligent life." Jake straightened his uniform and stepped forward. "I am Commander Jake Harrison of the United Earth Space Force. We are honored by your visit." The alien's expression seemed amused, though it was hard to tell with such a different face. "How charming. Your species shows proper respect. This will make the transition much easier." "Transition?" Jake asked. "To your new role in galactic civilization, of course," Vexthul replied. "Your species has finally developed space travel, which means you are ready to join our confederation. We have been watching your world for some time, waiting for this moment." On cue, the alien ships began displaying their power. Beams of pure energy shot out from their hulls, striking distant asteroids and turning them to dust in seconds. The weapons moved faster than human eyes could follow, and each shot was perfectly accurate. "Impressive," Jake said, though his throat felt dry. "This is merely a small demonstration," Vexthul said with what might have been pride. "Our confederation spans thousands of star systems. Our technology can reshape matter at the atomic level, bend space and time, and create energy from nothing. Your primitive chemical rockets and nuclear weapons are quaint." Dr. Susan Martinez, the mission's chief scientist, stepped up beside Jake. She had been studying the alien transmission since they arrived. "Your technology is indeed far beyond ours," she said carefully. "What would joining your confederation mean for humanity?" Vexthul's forearms moved in what seemed like a gesture of generosity. "Your species will be protected under our laws. You will have access to certain technologies appropriate for your level of development. In return, your people will contribute to the Confederation through labor and resource extraction." "Labor?" Jake asked. "Your species is well suited for work in challenging environments," the alien explained. "Mining operations on harsh worlds, agricultural work on frontier planets, basic construction projects. Nothing beyond your capabilities, of course." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. The alien was talking about humanity like they were a resource to be used, not equals to be respected. But looking at those massive ships and their impossible weapons, he knew Earth had little choice in the matter. "We would need to consult with our governments," Jake said diplomatically. "Of course," Vexthul agreed. "We will escort your vessel back to your home system so that proper negotiations can begin. Your leaders will find our terms quite reasonable." The alien ships began moving, and the Liberty was gently pulled along by some invisible force. Jake realized they were no longer in control of their own ship. The aliens were being polite about it, but they were essentially prisoners. As they traveled toward Earth, Vexthul continued to explain the Confederation's structure. There were hundreds of member species arranged in a careful hierarchy based on technological development and military power. The Zenthari Vexthul's people were among the ruling races. Humans would enter at the bottom level, suitable only for manual labor and basic services. "Your people seem to have a talent for conflict," Vexthul noted during one conversation. "We have observed your history through your entertainment broadcasts. So much violence and warfare. In civilized space, such primitive aggression is unnecessary." Our fleet maintains perfect peace throughout the Confederation. Dr. Martinez asked careful questions about the Confederation's military. Bexthal was happy to boast about their power. The Confederation fleet numbered in the hundreds of thousands of ships. They had never lost a war in over 1,000 years. Any species that refused to join peacefully was simply conquered and enslaved. Of course, we prefer willing cooperation, Bexthal said. Your species seems intelligent enough to recognize the benefits of membership. You will be fed, housed, and protected. In return, you will serve the greater good of galactic civilization. Jake noticed that other crew members were listening to these conversations with growing anger. The aliens spoke about humanity the way someone might discuss a useful animal. They were not cruel exactly, but they saw humans as clearly inferior beings who should be grateful for any attention at all. When Earth finally appeared on the screens, Jake felt a mix of relief and dread. Relief to see home again, but dread at what would happen next. The alien fleet took up positions around the planet, their ships visible to everyone on the surface. Your world is quite beautiful, Bexthal commented. The Confederation will take good care of it. Some of your people will be relocated to other worlds where they can be more useful, but many will remain here to maintain the planet's ecosystems. Jake realized that the aliens weren't just talking about adding Earth to their Confederation. They were talking about taking over completely. Humanity would become workers in their own solar system, managed by alien overseers who saw them as barely more than intelligent animals. But there was nothing Jake could do except smile and nod as the alien fleet prepared to make humanity an offer they couldn't refuse. 3 months had passed since first contact, and Earth had never seen anything like the Xanthari diplomatic fleet. 50 massive ships hung in space around the planet like beautiful, deadly flowers. Each ship was a work of art, with hulls that seemed to be carved from single pieces of crystal that glowed with inner light. Admiral Ryan Clark watched the alien vessels from his command center on Luna Station. As head of Earth's solar defense network, he commanded a fleet of destroyers, cruisers, and patrol ships that looked like toys compared to the alien craft. His weapons were railguns and missile systems that seemed primitive next to the energy beams that could turn asteroids to dust. They're not even trying to hide their superiority, muttered Captain Lisa Stone, who had been transferred to Luna Station after her experience aboard the Liberty. Every conversation is a reminder of how backward we are. Ryan nodded grimly. For 3 months, Earth's leaders had negotiated with the Xanthari, but it was clear that humanity had no real choice in the matter. The aliens had made their position clear. Join the Confederation as a junior member species, or face conquest by less peaceful races who would not be so generous. Dr. Susan Martinez had spent the entire time studying the aliens and their technology. Her reports painted a picture of a vast galactic civilization where power determined everything. The Xanthari were not evil exactly, but they saw humans the way humans might see particularly clever dogs. Useful, trainable, but definitely not equals. The ceremony is scheduled for tomorrow, Dr. Martinez told the assembled military leaders. President Helen Davis will sign the Confederation Charter, officially making Earth a protectorate of the Galactic Trade Union. Protectorate, Ryan repeated bitterly. That's a nice word for colony. The aliens had been very clear about what membership meant. Earth would provide workers for mining operations on distant worlds. Human soldiers would serve in alien armies as expendable troops. Earth's resources would be managed by Confederation overseers who would decide what humanity needed and what could be exported. In return, Earth would receive protection from hostile alien races and access to certain technologies deemed appropriate for their development level. Medical advances that could extend human life, agricultural improvements to feed the population, and transport systems to move workers to other worlds. General Paul Richards had given the aliens a tour of Earth's military facilities the week before. The Xanthari had been politely amused by human weapons technology. They watched demonstrations of railgun fire and missile launches with the same interest someone might show at a children's science fair. Your projectile weapons are quite ingenious, High Coordinator Bexthal had commented. So much mechanical complexity to achieve such limited results. Our energy weapons can accomplish the same destruction with far greater efficiency. The aliens had shown holographic displays of their own weapons in action. Ships that could crack planets in half with focused gravity beams. Weapons that could stop time itself around enemy vessels. defensive shields that turned incoming fire into harmless light. But what impressed the humans most was the sheer size of the Confederation fleet. Vexthal had shown them star maps displaying thousands of worlds, each one defended by hundreds of warships. The Confederation had been expanding for over a millennium, absorbing every species they encountered. "We have never lost a war," Vexthal had explained with pride. "The Confederation's military might is absolute. No species has ever successfully resisted us once we have decided to include them in our greater community." Lieutenant Colonel Danny Foster, commanding Luna Station's defensive systems, had asked about species that chose to resist rather than join peacefully. Vexthal's expression had grown sad, as if discussing a regrettable but necessary medical procedure. "Some species are too primitive to understand the benefits of Confederation membership," the alien had explained. "In such cases, we are forced to use military action to bring them into civilization. It is always tragic when violence becomes necessary, but the greater good demands that all intelligent life be included in our peaceful community." The message was clear: submit willingly or be conquered. Earth's leaders had chosen submission. Now, as the final day approached, tensions were running high among Earth's military forces. Many officers wanted to fight rather than surrender their independence, but the numbers made resistance impossible. Earth's entire space fleet consisted of less than 200 ships, most of them designed for exploration or patrol duties rather than warfare. Ryan had run simulations of a hypothetical battle between Earth's forces and just the alien ships currently in the solar system. The results were always the same: complete destruction of human forces within minutes, followed by orbital bombardment of Earth's major cities. "At least they're not planning to exterminate us," Captain Stone said, trying to find something positive in the situation. "We'll survive as a species, even if we're essentially becoming their servants." Dr. Martinez had learned more about Confederation society during her talks with the aliens. It was a rigid hierarchy, where each species had a specific role based on their capabilities and development level. The Xanthari and a few other advanced races ruled from the top, making all major decisions. Below them were species responsible for science, engineering, and administration. At the bottom were the worker species, providing manual labor and basic services. "Humans will start at the worker level," she explained, "but Vexthal says that over time, if we prove ourselves, some of our people might be promoted to higher roles. It could take centuries, but eventually humanity might earn a place in Confederation leadership." The aliens had been generous with information about their society, confident that humans posed no threat to their established order. They had conquered hundreds of species over the millennia, and the pattern was always the same. Initial resistance gave way to acceptance, and within a few generations, the conquered species forgot they had ever been independent. "They've done this so many times that it's become routine," Dr. Martinez continued. "They genuinely believe they're helping us by bringing us into their civilization. From their perspective, leaving us alone would be like ignoring a sick animal that needed treatment." President Davis had tried every diplomatic approach possible, but the aliens had answers for everything. Earth could not remain neutral in galactic politics. Other alien races would eventually find humanity, and they would not be as generous as the Confederation. Earth could either join willingly as a protected junior member, or wait for conquest by species that would not hesitate to enslave or exterminate the human race. The signing ceremony would take place aboard Luna Station, broadcast to every nation on Earth. President Davis would sign documents written in alien languages that would transfer sovereignty over humanity to the Galactic Trade Union. Earth would become Confederation, Protectorate 47,392, administered by Xanthari overseers who would manage human affairs for the greater good of galactic civilization. As Ryan prepared for the ceremony, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Not with the aliens or their overwhelming power, but with how easily Earth's leaders had accepted defeat. In all his years of military service, he had never known humans to surrender without a fight. But looking at the alien ships surrounding Earth, beautiful and terrible in their power, he couldn't see any alternative. Tomorrow humanity would officially become the newest member of the Galactic Trade Union, and their independence would become just another chapter in the history books. The signing ceremony had begun with all the pageantry the aliens could arrange. President Helen Davis stood at the podium in Luna Station's main conference hall, surrounded by human dignitaries and alien observers. High Coordinator Vex Thule waited patiently with the Confederation Charter, a document that would officially transfer Earth's sovereignty to the galactic trade. Union Admiral Ryan Clark watched from the observation deck as cameras broadcast the historic moment to every corner of Earth. In a few minutes, humanity would officially become Protectorate 47392, joining hundreds of other species in the Confederation's vast empire. Then space exploded. The first sign of trouble was a massive energy surge that overloaded every sensor on Luna Station. The lights flickered as emergency systems kicked in, and then the main screen filled with a sight that made everyone in the room freeze in terror. Space was tearing open like fabric being ripped apart. Violent streams of energy poured out of the dimensional rifts as something forced its way through from another part of the galaxy. The alien ships around Earth immediately broke formation, their weapons powering up as they prepared for battle. "What's happening?" President Davis asked, her voice cutting through the chaos in the conference hall. Vex Thule's elegant features had gone pale, his forearms trembling as he stared at the displays. "Impossible," he whispered. "They cannot have found us so quickly." The rifts in space stabilized and ships began emerging. These were not the beautiful crystal vessels of the Xanthari, but brutal machines of war that looked like they had been designed by someone who understood only destruction. Their hulls were black metal covered in weapons and armor, with no attempt at beauty or elegance. More ships kept coming. 10, 20, 50, 100. They kept pouring through the dimensional gates until over 200 enemy vessels filled the space around Earth. Each one was massive and heavily armed, bristling with guns and missile launchers. "Krillian Empire warships," Vex Thule said, his musical voice now harsh with fear. "How did they track us here?" A new transmission filled the communication channels, broadcast on all frequencies. The voice that spoke was deep and harsh, like metal grinding against stone. The image that appeared on screen showed a creature that looked like it had been built for war. Thick armor covered its body, and its face was a mask of scars and metal implants. "I am War Admiral Thekmor of the Krillian Third Fleet," the creature announced. "This system now belongs to the Krillian Empire. Any Xanthari vessels will withdraw immediately or be destroyed." Vex Thule stepped forward, his diplomatic training taking over despite his obvious fear. "War Admiral, this system is under Confederation protection. The inhabitants have agreed to join our alliance peacefully." Thekmor's scarred face twisted into what might have been a smile. "The Confederation's weakness disgusts us, Xanthari. You offer these humans membership in your pathetic trade union, while we offer them the honor of serving the greatest military power in the galaxy. This system's strategic location makes it valuable to the Empire, and we will not allow you to claim it." Ryan felt ice form in his stomach as he realized what was happening. Earth had become a prize to be fought over by two alien superpowers, and humanity had no say in the matter. The Xanthari saw them as useful workers, while the Krillians apparently wanted them as soldiers. The Krillian fleet began moving into attack formation, their weapons charging with energy that made space itself glow. The Xanthari ships responded by activating their shields and preparing their own weapons. In minutes, the space around Earth would become a battleground. "All human vessels are ordered to withdraw to minimum safe distance," Admiral Clark's communication system announced. The order came directly from Earth Command, passed through Xanthari communication networks. "Human forces are not to engage. Repeat, do not engage alien vessels." Colonel Danny Foster, commanding Luna Station's defenses, watched helplessly as the two alien fleets prepared for battle. His defensive platforms mounted railguns and missile systems that seemed like toys compared to the weapons now charging around Earth. The station's shields would not last seconds against the energy beams that had turned asteroids to dust. "Evacuate all non-essential personnel to the emergency shelters," Danny ordered his staff. "Seal the blast doors and prepare for possible impact." Dr. Susan Martinez found herself trapped in the conference hall as alien security systems locked down the station. Through the observation windows, she could see the massive warships maneuvering for position. The Xanthari ships were beautiful even in battle, their crystal hulls reflecting the light of their weapons. The Krillian vessels looked like flying fortresses, all angles and armor plating. The battle began without warning. Krillian ships opened fire first, sending streams of plasma and particle beams across space. The Xanthari shields held initially, absorbing the energy and converting it to harmless light. But there were 4 Krillian ships for every Xanthari vessel, and the sheer volume of fire was overwhelming. The first Xanthari ship died in a brilliant explosion that lit up the dark side of Earth. Its shields failed under concentrated fire, and the elegant crystal hull shattered like glass. Debris spread across space in a glittering cloud that would have been beautiful if it had not represented the deaths of hundreds of alien beings. But the Xanthari were not defenseless. Their weapons were more precise than Krillian guns, and they began picking off enemy ships with surgical accuracy. Beams of pure energy sliced through Krillian armor like it was paper, causing internal explosions that tore the warships apart from within. The Confederation fleet is requesting immediate reinforcements, Vexithul announced to the humans in the conference hall. Additional ships will arrive within 4 days. 4 days? President Davis asked in horror. Will your ships last that long? Vexithul's expression was grim. Unknown. The Krillians have committed a significant force to this assault. They clearly consider this system vital to their strategic interests. More Xanthari ships died as the battle continued. Their superior technology could not overcome the simple mathematics of being outnumbered 4-1. The Krillian strategy was brutal but effective. Concentrate fire on individual targets until their shields failed, then move on to the next victim. Ryan watched the battle from Luna Station, feeling helpless as 2 alien civilizations fought for control of his home system. Earth's defenses were meaningless against weapons that could destroy mountains with single shots. Humanity could only watch and wait to see which alien empire would become their new masters. The Krillians began broadcasting messages to Earth's population during the battle. Their terms were simple: surrender immediately and serve the Empire as soldiers and workers, or watch their planet burn when the Krillian fleet finished destroying the Xanthari ships. The Empire values strength and courage, War Admiral Thekmore announced. Your species shows promise as warriors. Join us willingly, and you will have the honor of fighting alongside the greatest military force in the galaxy. Resist and you will be conquered like all the others who opposed us. As the battle raged around Earth, more Xanthari ships died in brilliant explosions. The beautiful crystal vessels that had seemed so powerful just hours before were being systematically destroyed by the brutal efficiency of Krillian firepower. Humanity could only wait and watch as their fate was decided, by forces completely beyond their control. The battle had been raging for 2 hours, and the Xanthari fleet was losing badly. Half of their beautiful crystal ships lay shattered in space, their elegant hulls no match for the overwhelming firepower of the Krillian war fleet. The survivors were fighting desperately, but everyone watching knew it was only a matter of time before the last Confederation vessel was destroyed. Admiral Ryan Clark stood in his command center on Luna Station, watching the destruction with growing dread. Soon the Krillians would finish off the Xanthari ships, and then Earth would face its new conquerors. The Empire's terms had been clear: serve or die. Then his communication officer, Lieutenant Amy Walsh, looked up from her console with confusion. Sir, I'm picking up an encrypted transmission on military emergency frequencies. The signal is coming from outside the solar system. Outside? Ryan asked. How far outside? Amy checked her instruments twice before answering. Beyond Pluto's orbit, sir. Deep space where nothing should be. Ryan felt his heart skip a beat. Those frequencies were reserved for Earth's most classified military communications. Only a handful of people in the entire solar system had access to those codes, and most of them were standing in this room. Put it through, he ordered. The transmission was brief and simple. Package is moving to delivery position. Recommend all friendly forces maintain safe distance. The message was signed with a code that made Ryan's blood run cold. Project Valkyrie was supposedly just a myth, a rumor that circulated among high-ranking military officers about secret weapons development in the outer solar system. Ryan had always assumed it was just wishful thinking by people who refused to accept humanity's helplessness against alien technology. Sir, Amy called out, her voice tense with excitement. Long-range sensors are detecting a massive energy signature approaching from the outer system. Whatever it is, it's big and it's moving fast. On the tactical display, a new contact appeared at the edge of sensor range. The computer struggled to calculate its size and mass, finally displaying numbers that seemed impossible. The object was nearly 2 miles long and massed more than Luna Station, Earth's largest space installation. Captain Lisa Stone, who had been monitoring the alien battle, turned to stare at the display. That can't be right. We don't have anything that big. But Ryan was beginning to understand. For decades, rumors had circulated about secret construction projects in the asteroid belt, mining operations that extracted far more material than they shipped back to Earth. Transport ships that disappeared for months at a time, scientists and engineers who vanished into classified programs and never spoke about their work. New contact was accelerating toward the inner system at a speed that defied everything humans thought they knew about space travel. Whatever drove that massive object was beyond anything in Earth's official technology base. Signal all Earth forces to move to minimum safe distance from the alien fleets, Ryan ordered, and get me a direct line to Earth Command. The response from Earth Command was immediate and classified so far above Ryan's security level that he could barely access it. But the message was clear. Operation Valkyrie was no longer a secret. Humanity's real military power was about to be revealed. High Coordinator Vexthul, who had been coordinating the Xanthari defense from Luna Station, noticed the new sensor contact and asked his human liaisons about it. Dr. Susan Martinez, who was monitoring the situation from the conference hall, had no answer to give him. "It appears to be a large human vessel," she said honestly, "but we were not aware that your people possessed ships of such size." Vexthul's forearms moved in a gesture that might have indicated concern. "Perhaps your military leaders failed to inform us of all your capabilities. This ship, if it is indeed human, represents technology far beyond what we observed during our initial surveys." War Admiral Thekmore had also detected the approaching vessel, and his reaction was typically direct. "Unknown ship, identify yourself immediately or be destroyed. This system is under Krillian authority." The response came on all frequencies, broadcast so that every ship in the solar system could hear it clearly. The voice was calm and professional, with the accent of someone born in Earth's orbital colonies. "This is Captain Ben Rogers, commanding USS Valkyrie. You are trespassing in human space. You have 30 seconds to withdraw your forces before we demonstrate why Earth does not require protection from anyone." The silence that followed was deafening. Both alien fleets had stopped fighting to stare at their sensors as the massive human ship approached. The Valkyrie was now close enough for visual confirmation, and the sight of it sent shockwaves through both alien commands. The ship was purely human in design, with none of the elegant beauty of Xanthari vessels or the brutal functionality of Krillian warships. It looked like what it was, a weapon built by a species that had spent its entire history perfecting the art of warfare. Thick armor plating covered a hull that bristled with weapon systems the aliens had never seen before. "Impossible," Vexthul whispered, his elegant features pale with shock. "Your species was classified as pre-industrial when we began observations. Where did this vessel come from?" Dr. Martinez realized that she was witnessing the revelation of humanity's greatest secret. While the aliens had been watching Earth's surface, studying human civilization through television broadcasts and internet communications, they had completely missed the massive construction projects happening in the dark between the planets. The Krillians recovered from their surprise first. War Admiral Thekmore was a veteran of countless battles, and he had never met a ship he could not destroy. "One vessel against our entire fleet? Your species' arrogance will be your destruction." 20 Krillian warships turned their weapons toward the approaching human ship and opened fire. Streams of plasma and particle beams that had shattered Xanthari shields struck the Valkyrie's hull and simply disappeared. The thick armor plating absorbed energies that should have vaporized any ship, showing only minor scorch marks where the alien weapons had hit. Captain Rogers' response was calm and professional. "Thank you for volunteering to demonstrate why different approaches to warfare matter. All hands, this is the captain. Engage the enemy." What happened next redefined space combat for every species watching. The Valkyrie's weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of energy beams or plasma bolts, the human ship fired solid projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds by magnetic fields. The kinetic kill vehicles struck Krillian ships at significant fractions of light speed, punching through armor and shields as if they did not exist. The first salvo destroyed 6 Krillian warships and damaged 12 more. The aliens' energy weapons were designed to counter other energy weapons, not solid matter moving at relativistic velocities. Their shields, which could turn laser beams into harmless light, were useless against chunks of metal traveling fast enough to crack planets. "This is impossible," Thekmore transmitted, his harsh voice now tinged with something that might have been fear. "No species uses such primitive kinetic weapons at this scale. You're about to learn why." Captain Rogers replied calmly. The Valkyrie began moving through the Krillian formation like a shark among fish. Its hull absorbed the aliens' most powerful weapons while its own guns systematically destroyed everything in range. The human ship was built like a fortress, designed to survive in the middle of massive fleet battles where lesser vessels would be vaporized in seconds. Both alien fleets watched in growing horror as the single human vessel began tearing their ships apart. Everything they thought they knew about space warfare was being rewritten by a species they had dismissed as primitive. The battle that followed became the most studied military engagement in galactic history. The USS Valkyrie, humanity's first true battleship, moved through the combined alien fleets like a force of nature. Every weapon the ship carried had been designed specifically to counter the energy-based warfare that dominated galactic civilization. Captain Ben Rogers stood on his bridge, surrounded by 3,000 crew members who had trained for this moment their entire lives. The ship's design was the result of 50 years of secret development, built by engineers who understood that humanity would eventually face exactly this situation. "Target the Krillian command ship," Rogers ordered. "Show them what human weapons can do." Dr. Sandra Lopez, the ship's chief weapons officer, smiled as she powered up the main gun. The weapon was a magnetic acceleration system that could fire projectiles at 20% of light speed. No alien shield technology could stop solid matter moving that fast. The projectile struck War Admiral Thekmore's flagship and punched completely through it. The Krillian ship, a massive fortress of armor and weapons, simply came apart as the kinetic round transferred its energy throughout the hull. The explosion was visible from Earth, a brief star that marked the end of the most powerful Krillian fleet commander in this sector of the galaxy. "Impossible," High Coordinator Vexthal whispered from Luna Station. "How can kinetic weapons be so effective? Our energy shields should stop any physical projectile." Dr. Susan Martinez, who was monitoring the battle, began to understand what she was witnessing. "They're not using conventional projectiles," she explained. "Those weapons are firing at relativistic speeds. At those velocities, mass becomes energy. Your shields are designed to stop energy weapons, not matter moving fast enough to have the destructive power of antimatter." The Xanthari ships, which had been fighting desperately against the Krillians, now faced a new threat that terrified them even more. The humans were destroying both alien fleets with equal efficiency, making no distinction between Confederation vessels and Empire warships. "Captain Rogers," Vexthal transmitted desperately, "we are your allies. The Confederation offers protection and membership to your species." Rogers' response was broadcast on all frequencies so that every alien ship could hear it. "The only thing humanity needs protection from is alien species who think they can claim our system without permission. You offered us slavery with better working conditions. The Krillians offered us slavery with military service. We declined both offers." Lieutenant Nick Harris, commanding the Valkyrie's fighter wing, launched his squadrons into the chaos of the battle. The human fighters were small and fast, using the same kinetic weapon technology as their mothership. They swarmed around the massive alien vessels like angry insects, firing projectiles that punched through hulls designed to withstand energy weapons. The alien point defense systems, calibrated to track energy bolts and plasma streams, could not adjust quickly enough to target the erratic movements of human fighters. The small craft got in close where alien weapons could not track them, then fired their kinetic guns at point-blank range. A Xanthari cruiser tried to flee the battle, its beautiful crystal hull reflecting the light of exploding ships. The Valkyrie's long-range weapons reached across space to catch the fleeing vessel, sending a stream of projectiles that shattered the elegant ship like glass. "Your energy weapons are impressive," Rogers transmitted to the surviving alien ships, "but you've forgotten the fundamental lesson of warfare. The best defense against any weapon is not to be where it hits. Your ships are too big, too slow, and too dependent on shields that only work against the weapons you expected to face." Engineer Katie Bell, deep in the Valkyrie's engineering section, monitored the exotic matter containment systems that powered the ship's most devastating weapons. These were technologies that Earth scientists had developed in secret, building on theories that alien observers had dismissed as primitive human speculation. "Captain, we're ready to demonstrate the temporal displacement system," she reported. Rogers nodded grimly. The temporal weapons were humanity's most closely guarded secret, technology that could age enemy ships decades in seconds. "Target the largest concentration of Krillian vessels." The weapon fired, and space itself seemed to twist around a group of 20 Krillian warships. The effect was invisible to most sensors, but the results were immediately obvious. The enemy vessels began to decay as time accelerated around them. Hull plating corroded, weapon systems failed, and the ships fell apart as centuries passed in moments. The few surviving aliens watched in horror as human technology casually violated what they had believed were the fundamental laws of physics. Energy weapons they understood, even if human kinetic guns were more effective than expected. But weapons that manipulated time itself were beyond their comprehension. How? Transmitted the captain of a surviving Xanthari ship. How can a pre-industrial species possess such technology? Roger's answer was simple and terrifying. We're not pre-industrial. We've been spacefaring for over a century. We've been building warships in the asteroid belt for 50 years. We let you observe our planet and think you understood our capabilities, while we prepared for the day when aliens would come to claim what belongs to humanity. Within an hour, both alien fleets were destroyed or fleeing. The space around Earth was filled with debris from ships that had seemed invincible just hours before. The Valkyrie stood alone among the wreckage, its hull scarred but intact. Commander Alex Turner, the ship's communication officer, began broadcasting on all galactic frequencies. This is the human battleship Valkyrie to all alien civilizations monitoring this engagement. Earth is under human protection. Any species wishing peaceful contact and trade will be welcomed. Any species attempting conquest will be destroyed. The message spread across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds, carried by alien communication networks to thousands of worlds. Within days, every major civilization would know that humanity was not the primitive species they had appeared to be. Admiral Ryan Clark watched from Luna Station as the Valkyrie began its journey back to the outer solar system. As the massive ship moved away from Earth, its hull flickered and disappeared from sensors. Stealth technology that made the ship invisible to alien detection systems. How many more ships like that do we have? Captain Lisa Stone asked quietly. Ryan's answer sent chills through everyone who heard it. According to the message I just received from Earth Command, the Valkyrie is the first of 47 ships in the Solar Defense Fleet. We've been building them for decades, waiting for this moment. Dr. Martinez began receiving communications from alien civilizations across the galaxy. The Galactic Trade Union was frantically trying to open diplomatic channels, now eager to negotiate with humans as equals rather than subjects. Other alien species were requesting peaceful contact, hoping to establish trade relationships with this new military power. President Helen Davis, who had been preparing to sign humanity into slavery just hours before, now found herself fielding requests from alien ambassadors who wanted to discuss mutual defense treaties and technology exchanges. The galaxy had learned that while humans might seem primitive, they had been quietly building something far more dangerous than elegant alien vessels or brutal war machines. They had built ships designed by a species that had spent its entire evolutionary history learning how to kill anything that threatened their survival. As news of the battle spread, alien civilizations began to understand that Earth's children were not another species to be conquered and managed. They were apex predators who had been pretending to be harmless until the moment they chose to reveal their true nature. The final transmission from the Valkyrie was simple and direct. Earth is closed to uninvited guests. Humanity will take its place in galactic civilization on its own terms, or not at all. In the darkness beyond Pluto, dozens of human battleships waited patiently for the galaxy's response.